St. Louis Cardinals almost got no hit in Milwaukee as their toughest stretch of the season continues, despite having their number one on the mound. This is Locked on Cardinals.
You are Locked on Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm your host for Locked on Cardinals, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, covering your team every day. Follow me on X at JD Sports Radio, as well as the podcast on X at LO_Cardinals. We're also on YouTube. Subscribe, comment, like, the drill. You understand what we're doing here. TikTok, Instagram, we're there as well, Locked on Cardinals. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation, giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode being brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Welcome back. Thomas Govain back in the house, ladies and gentlemen, from RedbirdRants.com. He joins us once again. We gave you a little summer break, if you will, and now he's back. I tortured him enough where he's like, all right, dude, stop. I'll come on and I'll hang out and I'll talk some ball with you. How's your summer going so far?
Yeah, it's good. Home with both my kids over the summer, hanging out, spend some time, seeing the sights around Kansas City. It's been good.
What do you guys like to do other than baseball activities? What do you and the family like to do in the summer?
Honestly, I'm the only person in my family who loves doing the baseball activities, so I kind of keep that to myself.
Okay.
Outside of that, we'll go to like the parks around town. There's a couple of museums. 2 summers ago, I made a spreadsheet of like all the free things in Kansas City to do. So we kind of just run through that list each week. Yeah, it's fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a pool, or anyone near you have a pool?
Yeah, our community we live in has a pool, so we'll go there. We went first time yesterday. It's been too cold pretty much for the last 2 weeks or so.
Or
but
raining.
Yeah, raining. Yesterday hit 90, so we went over to the pool there. Got a nice base burn, so I should be tan for the rest of the summer.
Nice. Yeah, that's the one thing I miss. We had a pool growing up when we lived in California, and then in St. Louis, and now when it, like you said, when it hits these days when 90 and it's humid and you're like, oh my gosh, I just want to jump into a pool. I really miss it. Well, you know what else I miss, Thomas? I miss the Cardinals winning baseball games. That's something I miss. I saw your tweet earlier, like, not having as much fun as I was having a couple of weeks ago. I think we're all on board with you there. Yeah, the St. Louis Cardinals, they lost another game on Thursday night, got blanked by the Brewers by a score of 6-0, nearly no hit. Didn't get a hit until the 7th inning. Rookie pitcher Jacob Misiorowski, who's actually from Missouri, from Blue Springs, Missouri, went to the same college that I went to for like 2 seconds, but I was there for a little bit, Crowder Community College in the large metropolitan known as Neosho, Missouri. Yeah, it's as little as it sounds, but was making his big league debut for the Brewers on Thursday night, and he was awesome. Like, you got to give credit when credit is due. 102 miles per hour on the gun. And he was exactly as advertised. A lot of heat, a lot of strikeouts, a little wild. So he ends up going 5 innings, no hits, 5 Ks, 4 walks. Ends up leaving the game under some strange circumstances. The official ruling was that he left with cramps in his calf and in his quad. But while he was out there, Thomas, he was awfully impressive, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, you look at those first 3 pitches, all 100 plus right off the bat. He came out fire, and it was, as a Cardinals fan, it stunk to see it, but then as a baseball fan, it's pretty cool to see it. I mean, he's 6'7", right? Isn't that how tall he is? Just throwing heat all game. It was pretty neat to watch.
Just a string bean out there, too. 6'7", 190 is what he's listed, which we all know these guys lie about their weight. So
probably 185 wet.
Yeah, I don't think he's 190 pounds, but he looked the part of a top pitching prospect for the Brewers, and that's all we need is Milwaukee to find another pitcher to be awesome against us in the NL Central. So a lot of credit to him for doing what he did, and to the Brewers bullpen for coming in after he had to leave the game with those cramps. On the other side of things, though, Sonny Gray, man, had been so good over the last couple of starts for him. Not good in this one. 4 1/3 innings, 6 runs on 8 hits, 1 home run from Jackson Churio. Was looking good. It wasn't like this all happened like every inning he was in trouble or anything. He was actually looking pretty darn good. until that fifth inning when things fell apart. What were your thoughts on what you saw from Sonny Gray in the game on Thursday?
It really did all fall apart when we had planned this podcast tonight, earlier today. I was thinking, man, we've got 5 Sonny Gray starts in a row that are quality starts. He's looking good. Yeah. And then all of a sudden he gets rocked in the fifth. He talked post game with some of the beat writers about how he didn't quite feel on the entire game. And it all came crumbling down in the fifth for him. He didn't look like he was struggling. So there must have been something that he saw or felt that we didn't, not an injury or anything. Yeah. Just felt off is what he kept on saying. And then all of a sudden the fifth inning happens and it all blows up on him.
Yeah, we're starting to hear these little things with, like, how Liberatore the other night, he was like, I'm not hurt. He's like, my mechanics were a little off. I just felt out of sync and I just couldn't find the comfort zone again. And that kind of sounds familiar to what might have happened with Sonny Gray tonight. Not that his velo dropped or anything like Liberatore's did, but, it just – things happen quickly. I still remember a game that I pitched. One of the greatest games I ever pitched in college was first inning. I walk the bases loaded, hit the fourth guy, and the run scores, and then throw a no-hitter with like 9 strikeouts the rest of the way.
Yeah.
And finish the game. Like, it's weird. There's no explanation to it, but sometimes things just go bad. Sometimes things go good, but not a good one for Sonny Gray tonight, which is a letdown because when you're in a spot where the Cardinals are right now, they're in a bit of a rut, clearly, and you turn to that number one pitcher and you're like, this is the stopper, right? Isn't that what they call him? The stopper. And when you're a stopper, can't stop anything either. Now you're really looking in the mirror like, dude, we might be in trouble right now.
Yeah, but his last 4 starts when we have been struggling these last couple of weeks, he was a stopper, which is what your ace of your staff should be. It's just, I mean, I don't know if the 4-game losing streak got to his head or if he just felt the pressure, but it crumbled for him pretty quickly there. He didn't look happy after the game either.
It's unfortunate too, because what the issue had been for the Cardinals, has been the pitching side of things. They've been giving up too many runs. Offense was doing fine, but then they get shut out in this one too. So everything was a meltdown in this one. It just did not work. It was a bad game. And these guys are going to tell you, they're like, well, you can't dwell on it. You can't live in the past. You just got to move on to the next game. But clearly the Cardinals as an organization are seeing where this team is heading. They're seeing the trajectory right now, and they don't want it to get any further down than where it is. So they decided they were going to make some moves prior to the game on Thursday. And one of the moves, actually, you got to see it in the game tonight, and it paid off in this game. We're going to discuss those and more coming up next with Thomas Govain from RedbirdRants.com. Great to have him back. We'll talk more about this coming up on Locked On Cardinals. Whether you're gearing up for back-to-back meetings, shuttling kids back and forth to activities, or, tackling an endless to-do list, the honey-do list, as us husbands get given every single day from our significant others. But the morning sets the tone for everything, right? And that's why it needs to start with the perfect cup of coffee crafted just for you. Enter Trade. Trade is the #1 coffee destination in the United States, delivering fresh, incredible coffee from over 50 of the country's top roasters. So whether you're into, because they got pretty much anything for everybody. Cold brew fan, which is me. I enjoy the iced coffees. I like the cold brews. Or maybe you're a pour over purist. They've got a roast that you're going to love. And it seems like everything is getting more and more expensive these days. So I personally want to get my money's worth. So I love that Trade Coffee's prices are actually comparable to grocery store brands. But there is a big difference. The difference is the flavor. It's better. And it's on a whole different level. It's not even close. Try it for yourself right now. Trade is exclusively offering our customers 50% off your 1-month trial at drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb. That's TRADE.com/lockedonmlb for 50% off your 1-month trial. drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb. Thanks again for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. Leave your comments on YouTube as well as on X anytime you want. Feedback is always welcome and encouraged. Haven't been getting a whole lot of positive feedback recently, Thomas, because things are not going well for the Cardinals. You actually did a write-up today on RedbirdRants.com, and in case you guys missed it, you went over the moves that the Cardinals were able to make prior to Thursday's game in Milwaukee. If you would, for those who missed it, can you inform the folks on what went down with the Cardinals roster?
Yes, this was not necessarily a roster decision, but Jordan Walker is starting a rehab assignment today.
True.
As far as the roster goes, Michael Ciani was brought back up, and Ryan Vilade was designated for assignment, which I think we have all been waiting for the last 2 weeks.
You didn't go out and get a Ryan Vilade jersey? Are you kidding me?
I searched up and down for his rookie card too, but I couldn't find it. And then we sent Chris Roycroft down because Vilade was designated for assignment. A roster spot opened up, and the much-awaited arrival of Andre Granillo occurred today as well. He was promoted to the majors. Yeah, there's been a lot of people pushing for him. I picked up on him about 2 months ago, but there have been people who have been. I mean, off season, we had guys talking about his strikeout numbers and his stuff. So it's good that he got the call up.
Dude, his slider's a good one. It has been for a couple years now. Yeah, Andre Granillo's a guy that I've been eager to see pitch. Like it's been a couple years now, really. Like even when he was doing some good things at Double-A, you just kind of kept an eye on things because when you see guys that are just closers all the time, it's not like he would, take on different roles. He was constantly a closer at every level that he was at. And he kept finding success. It wasn't like you were seeing him get knocked around with, because sometimes you'll see a closer at AAA or AA, and they're like, yeah, he's got like 16 saves, but his ERA is like 6 point whatever. And it wasn't like that. Like he genuinely had some pretty good success at those levels. And, with this team, they continue to do that carousel with that one spot in the bullpen, looking for that one right-handed guy. After Ryan Fernandez flamed out, I haven't even looked up stats for Fernandez. I don't even know what he's doing yet down in. But
one of our guys on Redbird Ranch just wrote about it. I'd have to look back up, but yeah, I think he's doing better than we thought.
Well, that's good. Nice to see him finally turn around. Looking at 2025 MILB 5.71, 3-1 in 15 games with the ERA is close to 6, 29 strikeouts and 17 and a third. So maybe there's some progress there. But it was since he went away, there's been like, oh, who's that other right-handed guy going to be? That's what they've been looking for. You've seen Chris Roycroft, you've seen Riley O'Brien, you've seen Matt Swanson, and it just keeps cycling as they
Gordon Graceffa, Rodri Munoz.
Yeah, they keep trying to find these guys that can hold this spot down. Does anybody want this job? Because it's open. We want to give it to you. All you got to do is perform. And they just have not been able to find that certain somebody to take over that particular role and not cost them ball games. Every once in a while, one of these guys will have like a pretty good inning and you're like, okay. And then it all falls apart, and seeing Chris Roycroft, I look at him and I see why the Cardinals want to stick with him and develop him because, he's a big guy, comes with a weird arm angle, that sinker. It can be really good at sometimes, but so far this year, it just hasn't worked, man.
No, and his sinker plays up in the minors really well. I think every time he goes down, we see a lot of stuff about his sinker playing up and how he's got it back. His arm slot's there, everything's there. But then he comes up to the majors, it just doesn't translate.
Yeah, and Andre Granillo is a guy that, like I said, he had success and he got into this ball game on Thursday night after Sonny Gray was taken out and ends up throwing 2 2/3 of shutout ball this evening. What were your thoughts on what you saw from Granillo in his major league debut?
I loved it. Yeah, he got up to 97 on a couple of his pitches, 96, 97. He didn't get the strikeouts that we've all been looking for and yearning for, but I mean the jump from AAA to the majors is pretty dramatic. So I'm not overly surprised he didn't strike anybody out, but to hold the game where it was for 2 2/3 innings as a rookie against the Brewers on the road, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and with that place rocking with what was going on with their starter and taking a 6-0 lead, it was not the easiest environment to jump into a game and make your major league debut, but comes out of it unscathed, gives up a couple of hits. John King gave up a couple of hits, but didn't give up any runs. So, hopefully Granillo is the answer. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but why not give them a shot? What do they got to lose? Because everybody else they've tried in this spot has flamed out. It hasn't worked, and they're still searching. What were your thoughts on the Ciani for Valade? I know he was your favorite player, Valade, but what are your thoughts on them bringing back Michael Ciani to take on a role where it's completely opposite of what Ryan Valade is, where, Ciani's the left-handed, quicker defensive guy. Valade, not the great defender, was supposed to be a better stick from the right side. Make it make sense for me. Why was that the move?
I honestly, I don't know. I think they're just going outfield for I think they're just going outfield for outfield at that point. Personally, I would have preferred a right-handed hitter off the bench. Luke and Baker, I know it stinks to just have him ride the pine for 6 days out of the week, 5 days out of the week, but I think he would have been nice to have up there just for some power off the bench. Thomas Sajaci, I think, could do it, but I believe the organization's still hung up on the development more than the competition right now. I think if they're searching for competition, it would have been Sajaci, but I think they also want him to see regular reps, so then you're leaning more into the development side of the plan this year. I would be surprised if Ciani goes back down once Jordan Walker is healthy again come Chicago White Sox series.
Yeah, and I know I got some comments that were like, is this them giving up on Victor Scott, because of his slump? And that's absolutely not the case.
No.
But it's a guy that could jump in and play center field when Victor needs a day off. Maybe
I think that's,
Yeah, maybe he's feeling a little worn out right now. It looks like a lot of these guys, for whatever reason, it's all seems to like kind of be hitting them all at once. Where they're just, maybe there's a little fatigue going on there, especially for the younger guys who aren't used to playing as many games in a row. Remember, they were catching so much hell last year for giving Mason Wynn days off, and like everybody was just so angry about it. And they kept saying it's because, we're the long game here is that we want him to not be worn out by the time that August and September roll around, and not to have to go through some of these types of slumps where, where they're just exhausted. And that might be part of the reason why things are happening the way they are for some of these younger players. But, that could just be an excuse too. I'm just trying to find reasons. I'm just trying to find reasons here.
Might be searching for a while.
We've got some questions for you, Thomas. All right. And I'm not going to lie. Some of these questions have been thrown at me, but I want to hear your answers on it. I know what I've been saying for the last few weeks without you on board with me. So I want to hear from Thomas Govain. So we're going to pick the brain of Govain. Yes, I came up with that. Yes, I can rhyme. So we're going to do just that coming up next here on Locked On Cardinals. Don't move. The NBA Finals are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action because FanDuel makes it real easy to stay in the game before tip-off and, of course, while the game is going on live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. So if you're somebody who really pays attention to the NBA and you've got a read on who's heating up in a game, I've got buddies who are massive NBA guys, much larger than I am, but they just can tell like this is going to be a good game for him. Watch this. And they just know this stuff. So I tell them like, hey, let's back it up. Same game parlay. Let's go for it. You got the easy answers for the finals right now with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Tyrese Halliburton, obvious choices. But guys that are off the bench, guys like Pascal Siakam, not bench guy, but you know what I mean? Not the main star of each team. Or Benedict Mathurin the other night for Indiana. OKC, you got Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren. So if you think or feel like one of these guys is going to make a big difference in one of these games, FanDuel is the place to be to take advantage of that. If you're new to FanDuel, perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com, place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you're going to get $200 in bonus bets. Then you can take those bonus bets and use it on things that could really help you win even bigger. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thank you again for making Locked On Cardinals first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night, every game, every night. all season long. You get local analysis on a national scale. You can find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. The great Thomas Gilvain from RedwoodRants.com back in the saddle again, joining us here. Things are really bad right now, Thomas. Will they stay that way? Probably not. But will things turn around so much that the boys will play like they did last month in the month of May when they were one of the best teams in baseball? It's debatable. So I ask you, we picked the brain of Gilvain. Which Cardinals team do you think is the real team? Is it the guys we're seeing here in June and we saw in April for a bit, or are they more like the people that we saw playing ball in the month of May?
I'm going to dodge this question entirely and pick a little bit of both. I think the hitters are more of the team that we saw in May. I think the offense will pick it back up. It's just a little bit of a dry spell. But I think the pitching staff is who we saw in April and then now June, where they're going to give up some big runs, some big innings, and a lot of hits. But then the offense might come back and make it a little bit more interesting, which we did see a couple of games against the Blue Jays. They came back late in the games. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a mixture of both. I don't mean to dodge the question entirely. I hope it's more of the May, but I think it's going to be a combination of the two.
Yeah, and that was the thing with the Blue Jays series was they would fall behind and then they would play catch up. And they make the first two games one-run games when they really shouldn't have been. Like they felt like those games were done already and they made a game out of them. And then to jump out and get a lead in that game 3 and to give it up and just like vanish. They haven't scored since the Pozo home run, getting shut out in Milwaukee. And then after his home run, there's been little to nothing for this offense so far. You saw Contreras in the game on Thursday try to make something happen, just to try to get something going, which I applaud him for it. Didn't work. His brother gunned him out, but it's still, they're trying to get something going. So I can understand why he would be a little more aggressive there. So, I feel the same way. This pitching staff, it didn't change. I don't know what they were doing execution-wise that was making it more difficult to get hits off of them. But it appears that things are starting to even out a bit now, and you're starting to see those balls that were landing in Cardinals' defensive gloves. They're now finding grass, and you're starting to see these ERAs start to skyrocket a little bit. Ryan Helsley. Blown 3 saves in a row, his last 3 saves opportunities. The one against the Dodgers, we'll give him a gimme on that because that weird Shohei Ohtani base hit off the base was just stupid, and you can't predict that. It's not his fault.
Right.
But do you feel at this point, are you trading him no matter what at the trade deadline, or are you still considering an extension for Ryan Helsley?
Ooh, I'd lean more towards trade than extension right now. I don't keeping closers for any length of time more than one season is probably a bad idea. I think trading him in the offseason was the best bet, but we can't go backwards. I'm leaning more towards a deadline deal more than an extension at this point, mainly due to his performance. I'd love to have. We haven't had a guy since Yachty who's just been a Cardinal forever, and Helsley right now is that guy. If he can pick it back up this next month, if he can finish the season strong, I'd be fine with extension talks then. But right now, I'm leaning more towards trade.
Yeah, selfishly, I want him to be better so we can trade him and get better stuff. Who is that guy that's going to be the closer afterwards? I don't know. Is it Andre Granillo? Is that somebody we talk about? I don't know if there's a guy in the system that is ready.
Phil Maton right now.
Yeah, but maybe there's somebody else that they can make a deal for. I don't know, but I'm not going to concern myself with that yet. I'm more worried about the now. And, it's just the fastball's getting hammered. They're hitting like 430 off of him or something ridiculous off his fastball. Slider's been insane, but you can't just throw sliders all the time. They'll just lay off of it. So he's in a bit of a tough spot. He's going to have to come up with something to get these guys to go fishing after that slider. They're just never going to swing at it, and they're just going to key in on that fastball, which, a couple of years ago, 100, 101 used to be a huge deal. Now more people are doing it, and it's not quite as special as it used to be. Don't get me wrong. It's still very good. Triple digits is sick. But at the same time, when they're as straight as his pitches, these guys are going to see it and catch up to it eventually. So, how about this one? There's another GM question for you. If you're still within, say, 3 games of the wild card or the division, Are you hanging on to assets to see if they can have success in the postseason? Or are you going to do something like Detroit did last year where they're like, well, we're not totally sure if this is going to work. Traded, Jack Flaherty away, still went to the playoffs and showed, how good they could be. Would you rather go that route where you just want to get something for these guys like Fetty, for Helsley, any of these guys that are going to be free agents after the year?
Yeah, the Detroit thing's a bit of an anomaly. I don't think we can count on that being a certainty for us. If we're 3 games out, division or wild card, both, whatever it is, I think I'd lean more towards selling. The tough part is our biggest trade chip is probably Sonny Gray, and he has that no trade clause attached to him.
Yeah.
Like if we're that far behind, I don't think Ryan Helsley gets back on track the way we need him to. I don't think our starters like Eric Fetty, who could be traded, continues to or gets back to pitching well. So the guys who we would trade, they may not have much value if we're still that far behind. And the guy with the most value, Sonny Gray, may not accept the trade. I'd still try and trade whoever we have for whatever we can get. I mean, you look back at 2023 with Jordan Montgomery, he was very, very good for us that year.
Mm-hmm.
So his value is there. But I think we can do a bit of a reset like that and then get the farm system stocked back up. You look at the guys we got out of that deal alone for Montgomery with Tekoa Roby and Thomas Jacey. I mean, they could be up here next year contributing big time. So I'd lean more towards selling if we're out of it, and then hoping that we at least have a fun team for the rest of the year, potentially even one that can sneak into the playoffs.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is like, I feel like since they've been competitive this year that now people are like, well, we can go and do this. And I'm like, but we're still trying to plan for the future a little bit. It's been fun, but it's really a World Series team when you're going to have to go through teams like the Dodgers, the Phillies, the Mets.
We beat the Dodgers. We have the season series.
And we beat the Mets in the series and the Phillies. I know, but I'm just saying, is that really what's going to happen in the playoffs? It's hard to swallow that pill. But yeah, I'm starting to salivate a little bit over the possibilities of watching McGreevy and Matthews and Tekoa Roby at some point coming up onto the major league roster. Maybe another one of those outside of McGreevy comes up this year. Perhaps Matthews is that guy. I think Roby probably stays at AAA, but you never know. You never know when the way things turn later on in the year. Final stuff here. You mentioned Jordan Walker. I just want to point out this stat. The Cardinals are 4-8 since Jordan Walker went down. Just saying, 0 for 2 with a walk before the games got suspended in Memphis. Had a strikeout as well before that happened. I know that has nothing to do with the pitching, which, if you're looking at these games, it's the pitching that stands out as the issue right now. But there is a thing called team chemistry. And when things get altered a little bit, bad stuff happens. And perhaps they miss him a little bit. Your thoughts on Jordan Walker going down, having an effect on this team?
He was definitely getting hot right before he went down. So that the performance factor could be a thing there. Players are also a little bit out of position. We don't get Brendan Donovan at second base anymore as often. So you got him out in the left field. I don't know. I don't know if that's necessarily the factor. I'd say pitching primarily, but I'd love me some Jordan Walker back. Get Alec Burrows off the grass.
Yeah. Alec hitting is good. Running around the outfield, not the strongest thing for him, but better than Ryan Valade. So I will take the umbrella sit on
so
that.
Am I probably.
Yeah. Quinn Matthews tonight as well in that game. 3 innings, 2 runs, 2 hits, 5 strikeouts. He did have 4 walks, which is the most he's had since he's come back from the injured list. But again, it got suspended because of rain. So I don't know how the weather was affecting him or anything like that, or how the ball was. But that's the first kind of hiccup for him since he came off the IL. But still 5 strikeouts, 3 innings. Got to be pretty impressed with that. So what are some things you're working on for redbirdrants.com? What's in the future of Thomas Gobey?
Well, I had one go up today. I interviewed a guy down in Palm Beach, Daniel Ortiz. Great guy. I'd recommend you read the piece, get to know him a little bit more. He's hit home runs back-to-back nights, 2 days ago and then last night. So go and read that one on Redbird Rants. And then I did a deep dive on what's wrong with Lars Nootbaar this year.
Oh, did you figure anything out? Because we need to figure this out. Hey, my guy
he needs to stop swinging. Stop swinging is the answer. This is not an article, but JJ Weatherholt did hit a walk-off single tonight for Springfield.
Yeah. You like to hear that. See, the future's bright, Cardinals fans. Just everybody relax. Everybody relax. Pitching matchup for tomorrow. I believe it's Fetty and Peralta. So things are not going to be any easier for the Cardinals offense. Peralta, very, very good pitcher. So strap in, boys. It might be a difficult one on Friday as well, but you never know. It's baseball. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
Thomas, thank you as always for jumping in and hanging out with us. And thank you guys for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, please give us a follow on X at @LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio, TikTok, and Instagram at Locked On Cardinals. Be sure to give Thomas a follow at Thomas Govain on X as well. Read his work at redbirdrants.com. And please like and subscribe on YouTube and help our channel and love for the Cardinals grow. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason, and we will see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.